Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 596. How long have I been gone, Mr. Somich?
Wait for it. Oh, man. I was supposed to be Return of the Mac. Return of the Magic. Huzzah!
There we go. It works. And
I was trying to get a video clip. I don't know how to do it.
Already having technical issues. Gotta love it.
Yeah. What can you say? We're back in mid-season form here. How are you doing, man? It's been a minute.
It has been. It's been 2.5 months. Yeah, it was early April when I last did this. And how many tickets have you guys given out on winning tickets? Have you given out?
Three. I've got 2. Aaron got 1. So you got some big shoes to fill. It's been a hot show, man. It's been a hot show.
Kidding. Jeez, I'm here to cool things off. All right, let's do it. No, it's good to be back and happy to be back on with you. We're doing a new Friday one because right now we're working Thursdays for FanDuel. So kind of readjusting the schedule, but happy to see everybody in the chat. And as you see, if you're watching on YouTube, the comments down here underneath Mike's VSiN logo. Yeah, there you go. There you go, right there. Live comments are appearing on screen. We're trying this out. If it ends up getting annoying, we'll ditch it. But we're going to give it a shout out. So when you put comments into the chat, they'll appear here without us having to go back. And I mean, we can still do this, but that way your comments appear live. And if you say something inappropriate and funny, everybody sees it and you'll wonder why. You're not just going to wonder why Mike and I are laughing. But yeah, good to be back. What's been new with you in the last 2.5 months?
I'm wondering how long until we have to take them down just because of the someone gets inappropriate. I'm wondering if it makes it a full show. I haven't seen some of the serial offenders of the inappropriate comments in the chat yet, so we'll see how long this lasts. It's been good, man. It's been fun. Been on a heater, like literally a 6-week heater in horse racing, which has been phenomenal. That's always a good time. Got through the Triple Crown, obviously, which you missed parts of that. We got denied the belt, which was unfortunate because I think we had the best fantasy team. Yet, shout out to the fans. Shotty takes it down again with teammates. So good on them. Unfortunate for us. We'll take our second place, but it was going to be the first 2-time champion there in the modern era of the league. So pretty disappointing that we weren't able to get it done, Magic. And the journalism just not as good. Not as good as my boy, which is unfortunate because I didn't even take Sovereignty in the Belmont.
To your credit, after he won the Fountain of Youth? What was his first race in 2025?
The Fountain of Youth, yeah. When he came from off the pace against River Tame.
You said that right, like in the immediate aftermath, that you thought that was your Derby horse, and it stuck in my head. And it's wild. I know it's been talked about a lot, but the fact that if not for Sovereignty, journalism ends up being your Triple Crown champion. And if Bill Mott and Godolphin had a pair of balls that weren't in a vice, Sovereignty is a Triple Crown champion. So things I can say here and can't say on FanDuel.
This is why I missed you, buddy.
It was a great Triple Crown.
Who do you think made that choice? Was it Godolphin or was it Mott who made that decision?
My instinct wants to say Mott, but it really hurt. The Preakness is already the redheaded stepchild of the Triple Crown.
Yep.
And when the largest breeding and racing operation in the world, and it's not close for second, just says, we don't care about the Preakness, they're spitting in the eye of the American Triple Crown. And I took personal offense to that. So it didn't sit well with me. But I will say, as far as fantasy goes, Shotty really wanted journalism in the fantasy draft, and she picked right after us. And when John and Ryan, thank goodness, took Patch Adams first overall, who I wanted a lot. When they took him, I had to pivot, and journalism was next on my list. So we took journalism, and Shotty got so mad at me because she told me she wanted journalism. She thought I was just doing it to take him away from her. And she's, as a consolation, got Sovereignty, and I guess joke's on us because Shotty and Davey are now the first 2-time champions in the modern era.
That worked out well for him. It's a bummer too, because after that Fountain of Youth, if Sovereignty was out there, I would have made you drop everybody for Sovereignty. But unfortunately, Good pick. Good pick on them. What can you say?
That's okay. It was, the fact that we came down to, we had a 9-point lead going into the Belmont. Both horses were there, and the stakes were the stakes had never been higher for the fantasy league in its entire 10-year history or whatever. And it's wild that it came down to that. And Journalism is an amazing horse. Sovereignty just better. But how about Baeza too? My goodness. I mean, John Sheriff's had a horse that finished third in the Triple Crown races twice. Are we sure this wasn't, John Baffert or something like that? Like, who was that guy?
I don't know. I will say this. I am more excited for the back half of this 3-year-old crop, the back half of the year, not specifically the back half of this 3-year-old, the back half of the year, this 3-year-old crop, because we should have some bangers, man. It sounds like everyone's getting out of California. So you're going to have Baeza, have Journalism go east. We'll see if it's Haskell. I think Baeza goes Haskell. Journalism goes the Saratoga route. And if that's the case, we're going to get some great races, some great 3-year-old races up at Saratoga. Hopefully we can avoid the weather, which is always an issue at Saratoga, but hopefully we can avoid the weather going up there for the Travers, for the Jim Dandy, and just get some bangers. I'll be there Jim Dandy weekend. I'm super excited because I'm just hoping I get to see 2 or 3 of these horses.
I made a couple of, actually I just made one snide comment. I didn't even name Saratoga on air, but everybody knows that we were doing an ad for Del Mar and opening week coming a few weeks away. And I was talking about, everybody talks about the meet and, on the East Coast, there's a meet that runs in the summer, but it rains so much, they're never on the turf. You can always be fast and firm at Del Mar, where it's the most beautiful track in the summertime. And I had one person tweet me, a FanDuel watcher, who said that when California racing dies and Del Mar closes, tell Magic he's not welcome at Saratoga. It's like, really press somebody's button there. So,
I said something that I got a lot of shit for when you were gone. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
Don't be surprised if Saratoga adds a synthetic racetrack. If they follow the route of Belmont and make one of the 2 turf courses synthetic, so that they don't have to worry about issues that we saw over that Belmont weekend, where they're not only taking races off the turf and ending up with 3-horse fields, but they're also having to cancel pick 4s, pick 5s, pick 6s on major days because they want to move these grade 1 stakes. And I caught some flack. People said that was sacrilegious. That's just unacceptable at Saratoga. If you think they're not having that conversation at NYRA right now after how much money they lost because of those pick X pools on Belmont Day, you're wrong. They're at least talking about it. I'm not saying they're going to do it, but the conversation's at least happening.
And Gulfstream was the first one to do that, to install that year-round synthetic course. It's worked wonders out there. I know people at the beginning bitched about the synthetic racing, and I'm not going to bet synthetic racing. The numbers say otherwise. People still bet it. And then Belmont doing it, I thought was fantastic. I'm with you. I really think that it's something that it will take a catastrophic, like, not in terms of horse injuries, but just like a complete absolute failure if it doesn't work at Belmont for them to not do it at Saratoga.
Oh, it's going to work at Belmont. I mean, it allows the turf horses to stay up there. I mean, Belmont, it's a genius idea if you're going to run there over the winter, because you had no turf racing in New York for months. And so it's going to be successful there, because now you're going to have strings that stay in New York versus going to Florida and going to these other places, because you actually have the opportunity to run over a turf-like course with that synthetic track. So I don't even know how I feel about it. Like, I would kind of lose my mind if they got rid of the 2 turf courses, but at the same time, I also totally understand why you would do it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there, but I think it's something you have to at least keep your eye on moving forward because of what happened Belmont weekend.
Well, speaking of moving forward, let's move forward into the future. We're talking about Saturday's big all stakes pick 5. Also, the Derby City pick 6 is an all stakes. The carryover is $1.5 million coming into today. Please, nobody hit it, because Sunday's closing day. That pool will be $5-6 million if it's there on Sunday. So let's talk about Saturday's late pick 5, headlined by the Stephen Foster Stakes. Rise up! All right, Mike, kicking things off for the late pick 5 Saturday, June 28th at Churchill Downs. We're starting with race 8, the Tepin Stakes, a mile on the turf for 3-year-old fillies. 8 of them entered to go postward, and it looks like between Lush Lips and Vixen, those are your 2 heavy favorites. Where'd you go on top?
Yeah, I'm excited about this because Aaron and I were agreeing way too much And you and we are going to disagree through the majority of this sequence, which makes me happy. I love the argument. Give me the number 5 Lush Lips on top. I am utterly shocked you are not using this horse, so I'm looking forward to hearing the reasoning why. Now, I think I know because we've done this long enough. I think Lush Lips is the second best 3-year-old filly on turf. I think that Nitrogen gets the award there for the best 3-year-old filly on turf. But Lush Lips, last time out, just had a mess of a race in the Edgewood, didn't break wonderfully, was rank early, was wide early, still ended up running second to Nitrogen, beat Vixen in that spot. And that was with a completely different stylistic trip. I think it was actually really interesting to see the fact that Lush Lips doesn't need the lead. I think that's a big time positive for her. That being said, she probably gets the lead or stalks just behind the 7 in this spot. I think Lush Lips gets a beautiful trip. I'm not using the 5 and the 6 because I think you can only use one. You can't use them both. I'm going to go with the 5 Lush Lips on top as my top pick.
So that was it. That's it. That's where we split. You went with the 5. I went with the 6 on the top play there. And I agree. You can't use both. I went with the 6. Vixen. First of all, Lush Lips and Vixen both getting away from Nitrogen. They've got to love that. But the fact that Mark Cassidy kept running Vixen against Nitrogen when they are owned by the same group, DJ Stable, and they've been training together. They have very different training patterns, which has been interesting to hear from Mark Cassidy. But whereas Vixen loves to go out there and work, Nitrogen likes a little bit more time in between things. I went with Vixen. I think that you probably were guessing the speed angle. I think that there's enough speed in here. You got the 7 who likes to be forwardly placed. The 4 does her best running when forwardly placed. We'll see. I don't think Junior Alvarado sends her. And then the question mark is the 2. We're not sure what the 2 is going to end up doing. So, we're going to go with the 6 Vixen on top. Respect the 5. I realize I'm coming back on air, and first thing I'm doing is breaking my own rule about don't leave Flavien Prat off of a pick 5 ticket. But we're going to do that. But real quick, did you see?
Swing! Tentpole!
We're back, baby.
We're back. The bullshit about his ride at Royal Ascot where the French trainer was like, that's the worst ride I've ever been given for a good horse. No. You don't say that about Flavien Prat. Like that's like a hamburger cook at McDonald's going into like Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse and saying that's the worst beef flipping I've ever seen. Like, go F yourself.
So quick question in the chat here. Benjamin asking, I'm going to butcher horse names, so I'm not going to try your last name here, Benjamin. But Benjamin asking, why can't you use the 5 and the 6, same running style? No, it's actually nothing to do with the style. It's all about the price. So when you're talking pick X bets, pick 4s, pick 5s, pick 6s, your goal is to really separate yourself. And using the 2 favorites, especially when they're this short of a price and this big of a favorite, really devalues your overall ticket, because if you don't decide between the 2, you end up doubling the price. So if you singled the 5, singled the 6, or went 5-6, you're doubling the cost and you're not getting twice the value because there's going to be that many people using those 2 horses. So generally when you see 2 shorter priced favorites like this, you're going to see Magic or I take one or the other. Now we will include longer prices as well in some of these where we'll take a shot with another horse going too deep and things like that. But rarely will you see us go too deep and use both favorites. So in this case, we're both saying, hey, I can't use both of them because if I do, I'm really hurting my overall ticket value even long term. So I have to make a decision between the 2. In this case, I made the decision the 5 Lush Lips, Magic going with the 6 Vixen, but it's more of a ticket structure thing than it is deciding between, saying, because look, I think we both admit the 5 and the 6 are the 2 most likely winners, right? And it's just I decided the 5 is more likely. You decided the 6 is more likely. And so you have to take stands throughout these pick X sequences, or else you're just going to use favorite after favorite after favorite. And your top tier ticket is going to pay $300 and you're going to spend way too much to get to that point.
And it's a fantastic question, Benjamin. I forget sometimes because we've been doing this for 7 years now, which is wild. I still can't believe that. When the Ohio Derby came by and I wasn't on air for it, I was like, oh, that was our first one, was recapping the Ohio Derby. But I forget sometimes that we have people who are still, newer, might be joining the show for the first time, or might be still learning about horse racing. So I love the question. Thank you for putting that out there. And Mike explained it perfectly. One horse we did agree on here is the number 2, Something Stronger. And it's got to be for the same reason, right? The horse finally gets on turf after they tried it on debut. She gets on turf. It's a 5 furlong sprint. She wins from a stalking position. And that was a 5 furlong sprint. She's by Justify out of a Frankel mare. That was a warm-up. like Alstal was probably surprised a little bit that she won because the goal had to be to go 2 turns, right?
Yeah. Look, we just had the Flavian Pratt swing emoji or whatever video. The breeding in this horse is a swing, right? Like you look at the top and bottom Justify on the top and you're like, oh, cool. Who's the mare? Oh, this Irish mare by Frankel. Like, so it's just ridiculous 2-turn turf breeding for this horse. And you look back, you look at the first race. We always talk about this. The horse showed a lot of talent in that first race, and it's probably pretty overlooked. It was going a mile and 16th. It was supposed to be on turf. The race comes off. They run it on dirt. The horse runs an exceptional race, breaks out of the 10 post at Churchill Downs going a mile and 16th into a short stretch. That is very, very, very difficult to do from that outside post. They decide to run the horse back on dirt because of how well it ran in that first race on the dirt. Yeah, that wasn't a great idea. This is a turf horse. I mean, Frankel on the bottom just screams turf. Justified been a very good turf sire. I agree with you. I don't think they expected to win that 5 furlong race. I thought that they were looking at, this is a tune-up, and then we're going to jump into a maiden special weight at 2 turns. And the fact that the horse won, and now we're coming back in a 2-turn race, just screams that this horse should take a step forward. And when you look from a buyer perspective, I know that buyer's not end-all be-all, 81 ties the best last-out buyer with, the 5 Lush Lips and the 6 Vixen. Now, I get we're doing something different, but man, the 10-1 price on a horse that has more upside than anyone in this race, because we kind of know what Lush Lips and Vixen are. Yes, they could improve. Something Stronger has the ability to improve more than anybody else in this race because it's first time going long on turf, second time touching turf for a horse that's been screaming for turf the entire career.
I did have a third horse I put on the ticket here. I did use the 3 Love You Anyway, who did officially scratch from the Pen Oak, so she's going to run here as well. And she's come off a bit of a layoff. It's been about 2.5 months, and she was at Keeneland, but she was good enough to win by open lengths at Keeneland in a turf route. We talk about it in the spring. The hardest place to win at is Keeneland because everybody is targeting that from around the country. She went there and broke her maiden. She debuted in the maiden special weight third, beaten just a half length at Gulfstream Park during the championship meet. And out of that, they put her as a maiden into the Florida Oaks, where she ran into Nitrogen and Lush Lips. She beat over half the field home. She was 5th of 11. There was a lot of faith from the barn to do that with her, knowing Nitrogen was going to be there first and foremost. And then out of the main special weight, they looked at Keeneland. They could have, Penn National. The Pen Oaks, decidedly, I think, an easier spot, especially with all the scratches that they have for it. And they're going to run on Saturday instead. And Louis Size will keep them out. He's 29% for Rusty Arnold. She's 5-1 on the morning line. I think that floats up, Mike, because of the presence of the 5 and the 6. I think those horses will attract a lot of attention. And the buyer speed figure players are going to look to the 8, who got a 77 winning at Santa Anita last out, rides a 2-race win streak, comes in for Phil D'Amato. I'm hoping that maybe the 3 goes slightly ignored, and for former MLB player Alex Bregman gets the win here at a bit of a price.
Yeah, I looked at this one for a while. I'm not sure that the upside is as high as the 2 or the skill is as big as the 5 and the 6. And that's why the 3 ended up off the ticket. But I don't hate the idea of adding this horse because I do think if you can get past the 5 and the 6 in this race, your upside for your overall pick 5 goes up exponentially because there's going to be a lot of singles on the 5, a lot of singles on the 6, and a lot of people that go 5-6. So if you're able to get by them, I don't hate it. I have a $1.50 ticket because I'm pretty cheap throughout this sequence. So if you wanted to add the 3 to my ticket and play it for 50 cents, I don't hate the idea of doing it. But I couldn't get to this one just because I really like Lush Lips. I think that she's by far the class of this field. And I think the 2 has more upside.
So I just looked at your ticket. So we disagree in the next 2 races completely. But not only that, there are 9 horses in race number 10. Between us, we're using 7 of them, and we have 0 agreement on that. So looking forward to that. But before we get there, let's talk about race number 9, which is the Grade 3 Kelly's Landing Stakes for the dirt sprinters, the older males. This is a tricky race, 6.5 furlongs. You've got a nice mix of characters. Booth coming in off of those really nice efforts at Oaklawn Park. But hi, Ed. But you've got 2 in for Bob Hess, including Roll On Big Joe, and Dr. Venkman has resurfaced after finishing second to Nisos in the Triple Bend at Santa Anita. I'm guessing you put Dr. Venkman on top. Oh, you singled him. Of course you put him on top. Duh.
Yeah, I'm singling him up. Give me Dr. Venkman here, the 1 horse. I thought actually ran really well against Nisos. If you go back and you watch the Triple Bend, yes, Dr. Venkman gets dusted. But he looked like he might actually not get dusted at the top of the stretch. And Nisos, if Nisos stayed sprinting, is probably the best older sprinter in the world right now. Now he's trying to stretch out. We'll see if he can end up going 2 turns and doing the whole Breeders' Cup Classic thing. But if Nisos was in this race, what is Nisos' price?
Geez, he's probably 1 to 5.
2 to 5, 1 to 5. Like he's very, very short. And that was also Dr. Venkman's first race in 9 months. First off the layoff. Like there's a lot of reasons why Dr. Venkman probably did not get his best shot there. Now you get second off the layoff. They decide to come here to Churchill Downs to start stretching forward. There's talk that this horse ends up in Saratoga at 7 furlongs later in the season as well. And they want to kind of run through this East Coast style of a sprinting setup. I think Dr. Venkman absolutely runs a monster race. I think that race against Booth is a nice way to step forward. And it's 6.5. That to me is the other thing, because I like Booth and I like Dr. Venkman. So again, not going to use both of those horses. I think if this was at 6, I have a much more difficult decision between the two. Because it's at 6.5, I think that extra half furlong favors Dr. Venkman quite a bit. So I'll go with the one Dr. Venkman as a single to try and get me through here.
It's interesting that he's here. I thought maybe he would target Del Mar, the Pat O'Brien Stakes, which would be a 7 furlong sprint, winning you're in for the dirt mile. Figure that one out, 2 different distances. But either way, he's a sharp horse. I mean, there's more money and more opportunity, I think, at Saratoga for him. So I get why Glatt's moving him around. There's a ton of speed signed on, as you'd expect for a Kentucky sprint race. To me, the speed of the speed is the 3 Booth. That's why I made the top play here. He's coming in off 4 very sharp wins, including 3 of them at Oaklawn. He won the Maryland Sprint on Pimlico weekend. So I'm going to ride with him here, but there is a lot of speed. And if he gets into a duel with, say, Roll On Big Joe, who neither of us using, I think he's going to be in a lot of trouble. If he can get away from Roll On Big Joe, because Julian Leproux is not the most aggressive rider early, then I think Booth can win this on the front end. I don't think 6.5 is the issue. To me, it's the pace duel. If he gets suckered into a pace duel, then I think he's in a world of trouble.
Yeah, this is just a big step up, too. I mean, you look at who he's been beating, like Giant Mischief, Rivet, Epic Ride. None of them are under 10 to 1 in this race, right? This is the waters get deeper here for Booth. And I don't like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to slander. I don't love Eric Asmussen as a jockey. Ever since he lost his bug, he's just not been nearly as good. And we've seen this so many times where you have that 5, 10, 7 weight advantage, and then you lose it, and all of a sudden, shit goes sideways. You're just not as good because weight matters as much as a lot of people will tell you it doesn't. Weight does matter in horse racing. It's wide bugs. And you can look at like a bunch of different bugs who go from, we'll call it 15 to 18% to like 4%, 5% after they lose that weight advantage. I can't get behind Eric Asmussen. Now, he's done well with Booth after losing the weight. So no knock there. 4 races in a row here that he's won. The very easy horse to ride. Go to the front, hope he holds. I just worried that now that we're facing better competition, it's going to get a little bit more difficult for him to be able to hold in this specific spot. So I want to play against Booth here, who I think takes all the money. I think I get 5 to 2 on Dr. Venkman. I think a lot of people single Booth in this sequence just because you have the 4 race win streak. You mentioned the speed. Now I'm singling Dr. Venkman. But if I was going to use 2, I would use the 6 Happy as a Choice as the other horse here at 10 to 1, who I think is the benefactor of a collapse. I think if this thing absolutely falls apart, the 6 horse is the one who picks up the pieces. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility it absolutely falls apart. I just like Dr. Venkman a lot.
I like the 6 underneath, and a big fan of Johnny Ortiz as the trainer for that horse. I think it'd take a lot. I think even other horses would be able to outkick him for the win if there's a pace collapse. As far as the Asmussen comment, I'm not going to say anything other than I have heard from people I work with at FanDuel who echo your sentiments, and that Steve Asmussen,
name names.
Steve, what CSJ says, that's why Steve is not having a great time, is because he's putting his 2 sons on, and between Keith James and Eric, oh boy, nobody tell Andy Biancone I said it. I think Eric's the better rider between the 2 of them. And now Keith James is a good rider, but there is something to be said about the weight issue that you mentioned. Now, he doesn't get the weight allowance. Bugs don't get the weight allowance in stakes races. Eric has gotten along very well with Booth. You look at those last 4 races, all wins, all with Eric riding him there. So maybe there's something to that. But I will say that you are not the first person I've heard say that. And actually, I was with Aaron in Vegas, and he met somebody that I know that I work with who hates betting Asmussen anymore because like he'll just flat bet against Asmussen horses because of that angle. So
well, I will say
that's I'll leave it at that.
You know what does set up well? The Eric off angle. Like on the number 8 Heavenville, which just hit at 7-1. He comes off the horse for the first time. Jose Ortiz rides it and the horse wins. Like, just saying. Throwing it out there. Rosario off, Asmussen off. Let's go.
That's a good transition to who I'm also using with the 3 booth. It's the number 8 who's getting Jose Ortiz to ride, and it's Durante. Now, there is a case, as somebody mentioned, at wedding funeral for Durante. Benjamin, great question. Potentially, yes. I don't think he's 8-1 when the off odds go because a lot of people are going to bet Booth with that win streak, and a lot of people are going to bet Dr. Venkman with that back class. Roll on Big Joe, I think floats up from 3-1. I think that's a little low, but I think Durante is going to be double-digit odds. And in terms of how the pick 5 will play, it'll play a lot bigger than that because I think a lot fewer people will use a horse like Durante. But we talk about how Asmussen is cold. Jose Ortiz is hot, and we saw him all meet long at Fairgrounds being hot. He didn't slow down, and he has continued to be red hot with his horses. He got the win, breaking from the rail, didn't like being on the inside, but still beat world record, a tremendous sprinter in that spot, beat him by a length. And then for him to stretch out now to 6.5 furlongs, where he has 2 of his 10 career wins at, that's good. David Jacobson, sometimes not the best. Actually 15%, I shouldn't say it. 15% is pretty solid for graded stakes races. For some reason I thought that was lower. But yeah, so you've got Jacobson that can get the horse to win. He owns the horse. And with Jose Ortiz, there's really nobody hotter in the country right now as far as jockey goes.
Yeah, he's been ripping apart that Churchill colony. Just absolutely destroying them. And I'm not shocked, right? He's one of, if not, well, he's top 5 probably in America. And he's away from his brother. He's away from Pratt. He's away from a lot of the other big time jockeys in this colony. No offense to, I guess, a little bit of offense to some of the other people that ride there every day, but it definitely benefits him. I love all the chat now going off with like the different jockey off angles. When Flo gets booted off a good Cox horse for Pratt or size, yep, that's a pretty good one too. Clear upgrade, right?
Yeah.
When Rosario goes off a Clement horse, it's like a Christmas present for me. Anyway, yeah. Look, I looked at Durante for a while. I couldn't quite get there. It's like would have to probably run career best number. And I am a little concerned about wedding funeral. And we talked about how weight matters. Adding 5 pounds and facing a tougher field. To me is a little bit of a concern. Going off 33-1 in a 6-horse field is a difficult thing to do. It's hard to not get bet that much and then pop up and win. So hard for me to swallow the 8-1. I agree with you. He floats up. I don't know if he floats up enough for me to use him.
I forgot Skelly. That was the race where Skelly got completely destroyed in a pace battle. Another Asmussen, not ridden by an Asmussen, ridden by Asmussen's original son, Ricardo Santana Jr. in that spot. But yeah, he was 93-cent favorite or something like that. All right, let's move on to the third leg of the late pick 5 here at Churchill Downs Saturday, June 28th. This is going to be the Grade 2 Wise Dan Stakes. 9 horses, older horses going a mile and 16th on the turf course. And I mentioned it before, 9 entries. We're using 7 of the 9 between us, and we don't have any agreement on this one. So this will be interesting. Who'd you go with on top?
Give me the number 3. Mi hermano Ramon, who owes me for running second last race because that cost me a lot of money when King of Gosford got up and got the win over Mi hermano Ramon by a neck in the Grade 1 Shoemaker Mile out of Santa Anita. There was a day where I would come on this show and I would say anytime you have a West Coast turf horse shipping east, you just completely throw them out. That's kind of been proven wrong over the last year or so. We've seen a lot of the West Coast turf horses come out east and have more success. And Mi hermano Ramon, to me, is one of the better West Coast turf horses. Now, probably better at a mile, but has also had success at a mile and a 16th and a mile and an 8th as well. Has tactical speed, should sit a very good trip in this spot. Fresu makes the trip to ride this horse as well. Ridden him once before. That was a tough second to Sumner at Santa Anita. Has come out to Keeneland before. Ran in the Transylvania, Grade 3, and ran over a good track. Ended up running a good 4th that day when it was clearly over his head. It was the first time the horse went 2 turns over the turf course. So not worried about this horse shipping. I think all the talent is there. I think this one's kind of getting a little bit underplayed just because of the fact that it's been mainly a Santa Anita horse. But like you go back, you look at the Pegasus World Cup turf, Spirit of St. Louis, Integration, Chasing the Crown. Guess who was 4th? It was Mi hermano Ramon. Guess who had the worst trip of those 4 horses? It was Mi hermano Ramon. I think this is a very, very good turf horse. I'll take the 3 Mi hermano Ramon on top here, 9-2.
I remember we both liked him a lot in the Pegasus World Cup turf, and he had a chance at one point, and you mentioned just traffic trouble for him dealing with it. Do you have a line on the Mark Glatt barn? You're using him on top here. You single Dr. Venkman for Mark Glatt. You know something I don't? You know a lot of things I don't, actually.
I mean, I don't know about having 2 kids. You know about that. He has been very, very good over in California. I think that these horses don't get enough respect. I really don't. Now, I wish Pratt was on him, but Pratt's sticking with the number 2 Laganos. But at the same time, like, the price shouldn't be 9-2 on this horse. He was kind of forgotten in the Pegasus World Cup. It feels like he should be closer. Based on numbers, he should be the same price as Mercante as Brilliant Birdie, and he's not. He's a bigger one. So give me the number 3, Mi Hermano Ramon on top. It's going to be a Mark Glatt kind of day. Just get used to it.
I'm going to go with I don't have anything to say against it. I like him. Just not to bet him here. The 6 horse, Taking Candy. And if you can get Jose Ortiz and Street of Vote 8-1, that is like taking candy in a spot like this. Listen, last time out at Churchill Downs, the Grade 1 Turf Classic on Derby Day, they took a shot. I respect it for it. Spirit of St. Louis, just too good. But before that, he won the Grade 3 Fairground Stakes impressively with Irad in the saddle. It's just Sherry DeVoe's barn. It's clicking, baby. So I'm going to go with Taking Candy on top because I love the price. I think the horse has a good running style, has a win at Churchill Downs, is 3 for 6 at this mile and 16th distance as well.
Yeah, I have Taking Candy in 4th. So Taking Candy just missed the ticket for me here.
You do. I will interrupt you. You do have a scratch. The 4 is going to scratch from this race. Do you want to just add?
I just updated it.
Oh.
I'm going to act. Yeah. Look,
okay.
I agree with this comment. The scratch Mercante leaves me thinking Brilliant Birdie gets bet hard as possible as loan speed. I added Brilliant Birdie because of Mercante out. I wanted one of the 2 of them from a speed perspective because I agree with what Mark said. There is not a ton of speed in here. I think that also, by the way, is a positive for me, Hermano Ramon, who will be close to the pace. But I do think that if you lose Mercante, all of a sudden Brilliant Birdie gets upgraded for me. So I'll take the other DeVoe here and go with the number 7, Brilliant Birdie, as the second pick, who I do think is a speed play in this spot.
Second pick for me as well. And thank you for, I forget who mentioned it first for the Mercante. It might have been Mark, I think. Yeah. Thank you, Mark, for putting that in there. So that I'm with you. Brilliant Birdie, second choice for me. I'm worried of the odds as far as a win bet. This is not going to be a win bet for me, but the way everything is lining up, you just really have to appreciate that. Third choice for me. So we do have agreement in 1. Thank you to Mercante. We have agreement on 1 horse here. I'm going to Laganos. Flavien Prat hopping back aboard for the 4th straight start and the 5th in the last 6 starts. He's got a win, a second, 2/3 when he rides this horse. Was right there behind Mercante and Brilliant Birdie in the Grade 3 Arlington Stakes here, which is the local prep. And same distance, coming back. Now Mercante's out. Brilliant Birdie's going to be bet heavily. Laganos' odds might go down a little bit, but if you can get me Flavien Prat in a turf race like this, I said, I know to use him the tap-in. I'm going to go ahead and use him here.
They try to change the name for this horse to Lagados because it loves running second. Oh! Look, it's just a couple low. I think we kind of figured out where Laganos is when you're facing these groups. Just one step below. Is not able to kind of get up and win. If I'm playing tries, if I'm playing supers, Laganos is in there. If I'm playing a pick 5, I'm leaving Laganos off. It's one of those horses that I think that logically makes sense to run to hit the board, but it just got to ask a lot for this horse to win. I mean, won the Commonwealth at Churchill over nothing, right? And the only other win on the page in a long time, we're talking 2 years, is a race that came off the turf. That's it. And so it's like, I cannot back this horse considering all of the issues that we're seeing from just a win perspective here. So, no Laganos for me. I will take... And someone mentioned it. Where is it? Chris Mael. Give me Fort Washington for all the dough, baby. Love this horse when it dead heated at 35-1. That was fun. Would like this horse to now win at 6-1. Second off the layoff here for a hard-trying 6-year-old who just seems to keep getting a little bit better. You just kind of see the buyers slowly tick up here. You would have thought maybe you need one. Did not need one. Was able to come out and win the dinner party over a good turf. Now we get back to a firm turf, which is the better surface. If you look back through the past performances, I think this sets up okay. I'm worried there might not be enough speed for Fort Washington to chase down. We'll see if the 9 Seminole Chief with Saez goes. I think that's pretty likely that you do see him forwardly placed. Hopefully it is for Fort Washington, who is going to be rolling late. Look, Yeah, again, ran very well. If you go back to the Pegasus World Cup Turf Invitational, ran fifth, was right behind my top pick, Mi Hermano Ramon. Since then, has won 2 races, including over Major Dude. It's a pretty good horse and would be one of the favorites here if we did see Major Dude in this spot. So give me Fort Washington here at 6-1, second off the layoffs, third horse on the ticket for me.
How about I didn't use them, but how about Fort Washington was a horses of racing age sale in the summer of 2023, starting August 12th, 2023. This horse has already earned $266,000 in 2025, 152 grand in 2024, and then he had 4 races in 2023, including a second at Kentucky Downs, where the purses are astronomical. I mean, that's a really good. This horse is in racing age, and we're going to buy him for this amount, and he's going to run off. So, yeah, I respect. I've never been a Fort Washington fan. We've always kind of disagreed on him for that. So he'll run big a lot of times, and he'll struggle to win, but the fact that he now has back-to-back wins, including at Gulfstream in the championship meet, I think is definitely noteworthy.
He's like a fine wine. He just ages well. Just keeps getting a little bit better as we get a little bit older. 6 is a fine year for Fort Washington to be able to keep running well. So I've liked Fort Washington for a long time, and so not a hard horse for me to end up on the ticket, because I do think that it's just a Johnny Tryhard horse. You get an effort every single time from this horse. You've had 5 straight races with 95 plus buyers. 4 of those 5 he hit the board. 2 of them he won. A 30 lost by a neck, and the other one was the Pegasus World Cup, where he ran a very good 5th against the best turf horses in the world, or in the U.S. So not a hard horse for me to end up on the ticket, especially when you get in 6-1.
Real quick before I have my my last pick, we do have a guest appearance here on the show. I wanted to bring in real quick. And she's too, so.
She looks just like her daddy.
And she's a redhead. At least so far. We got a redhead. Don't know how that happened, but hi, princess. You say hi to the world. There you go. And she's like she's a little milk crib, a little out of it. So all right, you go back to mommy. Okay. Mwah. There we go. That's Chloe. And Mrs.
Chloe.
Magic. I don't know if Mrs. Magic's ever been on the show either, but there she was too.
I don't think she has. I think that might be the first appearance from Mrs. Magic.
I know, it's 7 years. Welcome to the show, babe.
Yeah, you get Chloe on the first 2 months. It takes 7 years to get her on. Unbelievable.
You can tell who I like better, you know. Anyways, last one on for me. This is an angle you mentioned people love. We were talking about the jockey thing. Off Rosario, on to IRAD, the number 5 event detail for William Walden. Listen, I hate
this horse, but I look so long because of it.
Brilliant. But IRAD's never been on. That's the thing. That's the key right there. Brilliant Birdie second, Logano's third. Just a half length behind each of those horses was event detail in the Grade 3 Arlington. The horses got improving buyers. You look at the last 4 starts dating back to December. Improve. And now the ultimate improvement, Rosario off, IRAD on, and he is 6 for 12 for the William Walden barn in the last year and a half. William Walden is 5 for 17 at the meet. This is one of those trainers that I don't understand why Walden doesn't get bet more than he does, because his percentage is high. He's a very smart young horseman, and they run really, really well. So I put the 5 on as well.
I wish it was a better price, and because IRAD's on, I'm worried we're not going to get over 8-1. I don't hate the pick because obviously the Rosario off. Now I will say this. I can't point to something he did wrong in either of those races. I don't think he didn't fully Rosario the horse. I thought he actually gave a decent ride in the last one specifically, where he stalked the pace and he wasn't a million back. And the race before that, he should be a million back. They went 45 and change to the half. So it's not one of those where I'm like, wow, Rosario really shit the bed here, right? It was one of those more where it's well, it's just Rosario. So I'm not that bad. Yeah, look, if you told me this horse was 20-1, probably on the ticket. At 8-1, yeah. I'd rather have a horse like Fort Washington 6-1. I'd rather have Mi Hermano Ramon at 9-2. So don't hate the pick. Just don't love the price.
All right. We covered 7 of the 8 runners, or I guess 7. Yeah. 6 of the 8 runners.
I mentioned Seminole Chief too. At least got a little, little drop in there.
You know what? Saya is riding Seminole Chief instead of Mi Hermano Ramon. I wonder if that was more of a California connection because Fraser's coming over. Saya had ridden him in the Pegasus, rode him in California in the Mathis Brothers Mile. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think it's because Fraser is coming. I think Glatt and Fraser were like, hey, we're going to run a couple horses here. You want to just ride them all so that it makes sense for you to fly over and ride Venkman? Because I think that's the reason why you have Fraser there. So, and Fraser, by the way, pretty good turf jockey. Like, I realize, like,
damn good, yes,
pretty good turf jockey. Like, I get that this is the best turf jockeys in the world in a lot of cases, or in the U.S. who are here. Pretty good turf jockey though.
What? Real quick, before we go, the one Henro, is that horse scratch? Were they just entered thinking this might come off the turf? Like zero turf racing, zero turf. Like if you look at the siblings, like it's a half to Street Band, who's a Grade 1 winner in the Cotillion Stakes, but zero turf anywhere in the family. Why is he here?
Shoot, man. That's what this feels like. Just like, hey, let's throw one up from 3, see if it goes down. Hey, check.
From your own personal 3-point line. Let's see if we can make it all the way there. All right, the main event's coming up, and it is the ultimate event of the Late Pick 5 Saturday, June 28th at Churchill Downs. The Grade 1 Stephen Foster Stakes, Breeders' Cup winning for the Classic, $1 million purse, 1.8 miles the distance, almost $30 million in earnings amongst all of these horses. Last year's top 2 from the Derby are back. Last year's Breeders' Cup Classic champion is back. And the highest earner in this field is Hit Show, because he somehow won the Dubai World Cup with your boy Florent Giroux. Who are we putting on top?
Well, I'll let you talk about Mystic Dan, because I know you have him singled here, right?
Shh. 3 for 4 at Churchill. Anyways, go ahead.
Unbeatable. Give me the 2 mind frame on top. Almost singled. I thought about it for a minute. Look, I get this horse is goofy. He actually wasn't as goofy. Not as goofy in the Churchill Downs Grade 1 mile or Grade 1/7 furlong race. Like he looked more like a horse who's starting to mentally figure it out. I'm not going to say he's the most talented horse in this group, but and this is a group of like horses you can't trust. You really cannot trust the mass majority of horses in this race. So it's like, who do I trust the most of the least trustworthy horses? To me, it's mind frame. He's run well every single time. He's just gotten goofy in the stretch a couple times. I think that this is a good distance for him. I don't mind the mile and an eighth. I kind of wish it was a mile 16th, but here we are. He ran well in the Haskell. That was a mile and an eighth. I thought he ran well in the Belmont. That was a mile and a quarter. So like we've seen him go longer. Now you get second off a layoff for an ultra talented 4-year-old that should improve. I just feel like he is the best horse in this race. And like I said, I don't trust a lot of these horses. I trust Mindframe to show up and run his A game here. So give me Mindframe on top. I
passed on because I think he's a miler. I
get it.
I'm going to let him prove it to me at a mile and an eighth. But I thought what you said, what Mark Huff said, I've never seen such a talented field that I don't trust at all. I can trust 2 things. One, Ashcroft ain't winning this race. As nice as that would be for the coach. Yeah. Ashcroft's not winning this race.
Agreed.
And 2, Skippy Longstocking ain't win this race because it's a Grade 1 race. And that's the one time Skippy Longstocking doesn't win is when it's a Grade 1 race. So other than that, can't really trust anybody to do anything because there's a lot of talent. There's so much talent in here. I ended up putting Sierra Leone on top. I think that this is the most talented horse in the field. I thought he really put things together finally at the end of his campaign with that Breeders' Cup Classic race. Now, the New Orleans Classic, like he was the 30-cent favorite and he lost. If you remember, neither Mike or I used him in that race. We did not like his chances because it was a short field that got stretched down even smaller. And there was clearly 2 horses with speed, and it was not setting up well for Sierra Leone. He was coming in off of the layoff. He hadn't been worked as hard as Chad Brown usually would work his horses. So there were a lot of question marks around Sierra Leone. I think now is when he fires his big shot. So I'm going to put Sierra Leone on top. I think there's enough speed in here that it stays fair. I think a horse like Mystic Dane will go. Skippy's going to be part of that. Mindframe will be part of it. Who knows what First Mission will end up doing from that inside post. Mile and an eighth at Churchill Downs. Sierra Leone's going to come rolling late.
I wish this was a mile and a quarter. Then I'd be more interested in Sierra Leone. I get it. You know, it was won at a mile and an eighth before, won the Risen Star, won the Bluegrass, both those at a mile and an eighth. The second one was over a very, very hot pace. The first one was over some pretty bad horses. Track Phantom set the lead. We both specifically joked about Track Phantom that entire Triple Crown season, saying that he's never going to actually win one of those races. I got a price problem with Sierra Leone. Like, honestly, I can't at 5-2. Like this horse needs everything to go right. No, I shouldn't say needs everything to go right. Needs things to break his way. Needs to get his pace set up. I was
he needs
hoping
to stay right instead of lugging into the left. That's what
he
he
needs to
needs
run
do.
straight. Like, I mean, mind frames in this race, and he may not be the goofiest horse in this race. Is probably your favorite Sierra Leone. That's saying something. Like, mind frame was high fiving people across the rail last year, and Sierra Leone's goofier than he is. A dead closer in a race that I don't necessarily think is going to be a very fast pace. Like, I don't see them flying here. I think this is one of those more tepid paces. And so all of a sudden, where is Sierra Leone? How much ground does he have to make up? Is he going to be forwardly placed? We saw him closer to the pace last time and have absolutely no kick. So I can't with Sierra Leone. And I've been a Sierra Leone hater for a long time. So take that with a grain of salt. I got no interest in Mystic Dan. Probably the two luckiest wins I've seen in horse racing in the last 5 years are both by Mystic Dan. Should have lost to Antiquarian last race, but Antiquarian goes a million wide. Mystic Dan gets this dream trip up the rail, and Antiquarian still almost catches him late. And then the Derby wins. And those are the last two wins for Mystic Dan. That was the first time he won since the Kentucky Derby, and he's 3-1 here. He'll get bet. No thanks, not at all. I agree with you on First Mission. I think First Mission's the other horse that I'm interested in. This is one that's just been getting better. And, it's a 5-year-old, and we always talk about 4-year-olds. They can improve. 5-year-olds can get better, too. Like, you start to see the horses fully mature, middle of the 4-year-old, and early 5-year-old season. And the last two races from First Mission were just awesome races. And I don't have an issue here with Pratt going to Sierra Leone. He was never leaving the Breeders' Cup Classic winner to ride First Mission in this spot. So that's not an issue to me. I'm happy it's Saez and not Giroux. I think that is a positive here. I'm glad Giroux's on Hit Show. So 1 and 2 for me to get through here, like mine for him First Mission quite a bit.
1 and 4 for me. I echo all the sentiments you made. First Mission is one of those horses that I keep backing, thinking that he's going to finally get there. And sometimes he runs big, and then other times you're like, what the was that situation? The Whitney, I'll forgive. That was a weird race. You remember Arthur's ride went like a million miles an hour from the outside, and it was didn't they steal the track like right before the track race?
Right before the race. I'm still angry at Naira for doing that.
Chris, this is fantastic. Mystic Dan should be called Mystic Moses for how he parts the Red Sea. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
I agree with Chris here. It is hard to believe the Oaklawn figures because like Mystic or First Mission ran a 109. I'm like, are we sure about that? We sure that's 109? Now it was very fast, was very good, but it does seem a little ridiculous.
He got a 106 for winning the Alice Sheba, which by the way came here at Churchill Downs, but.
Yeah, but Tio Saint Denis ran second. Ilmar Colo ran third. Are we sure that was 106? Like that to me is another one where it's like, That
was a race where, it was Derby undercard because the Japanese sent Forever Young, and nobody talked about Tio Saint Denis, and like 50-something to 1, he had the lead, and he made it interesting for a moment before First Mission kicked into gear. I remember that race well. All right, let's move on. The fifth and final leg here at Churchill Downs in Saturday's late pick 5 sequence. All stakes, and it ends with the American Derby, Mount of 16th on the turf, in a very aptly named race because you have horses who were trying the Kentucky Derby trail, who have come back to the turf course where they're probably best. And I believe Flying Mohawk is going to scratch. Last I heard, it wasn't 100%, but he might scratch. I didn't use him in here. I think he's a good horse. But where'd you go on top?
I hope he doesn't scratch. I love him as a takeout reducer here. I don't love the two horses in this spot. Give me the number 1, Reagan's Wit on top. Not going to get overly creative here. I think Reagan's Wit's a very, very good horse. You go back and you look at the Transylvania where this horse ended up running 4th behind Tescore, Maui Strong, and others. Didn't really get a great trip that day. Jumps back into the overnight stakes company, $100,000 stakes, wins with Jose Ortiz, and does so well. Not like it just wins convincingly. And it's one of those spots where they didn't exactly go fast up front, and this horse was very fast coming home. So I like Reagan's Wit quite a bit here. I think good opportunity to go back to back here. Would be happy if we get 3-1. I hope Tistastic is 5-2 in this race because I would love me some Reagan's Wit at 3-1. I'm not sure if we get it.
Same top play for me, and I love the spot here for him. The other horse we agreed on, I'm not sure where you put it. I put it 3rd, but we can talk about him right now, is the 4, Siesta Key. I used 2 short prices and 2 long shots, and Siesta Key 20-1. Maybe we don't get 20-1 because it's Brad Cox, it's Flavin Pratt, and it's Godolphin Blue. But a really nice win at in the Kitten's Joy Stakes at Colonial Downs. Out of that, went to Keelan for the Bourbon Stakes. Just didn't fire at all, but plenty of time off, and for them to resurface here, I think is a good sign. The horse is still N2X eligible, but they're going back in for a stakes race here. And Pratt picks up the mount for the first time. And no offense to Manny Franco, Axel Concepcion, Luan Machado, when he decides to figure out where the correct finish line is, they're all good riders, but Flavien Prat is by far, as we know, the best. So Flavien Prat getting on for Brad Cox to me is all signs say this is a horse at a longer price is the way to go.
Yeah, third pick for me, and I'm not going to overtalk this. Flavien Prat and Brad Cox are 30% together. They're on a 20-1 shot in a stakes race that makes no sense to be in this race. I'm going to use the horse. I'm just going to assume that I'm not the smartest person in the room and that Brad Cox and Flavien Prat are two of the best at what they do, know more than I do about Siesta Key. And so therefore 20-1 feels like a pretty gifty price here on the number 4. I'm going to just keep on my Mark Glatt train. Give me the 8. Freedom's not free here. I mean, I might as well just commit to the bit at this point. I thought this horse ran awesome last time out. It was a 6-horse field. I get it. But I thought that was a very, very good race. First off the layoff, improves the buyer. This is a $300,000 son of Omaha Beach. So we know turf is fine for this horse. We're going to run 4 straight times over the turf. 4 best buyers in the career, all 4 of those turf buyers. And I look through this and I'm like, okay, where's the speed coming from? It's probably the 8.
Yeah.
Probably alone. Probably just sitting out there having a good old time frolicking on the front end. I think the 8's got a big shot here at 7-2. So why not give me a Mark Glatt Freysu triple in the pick 5?
That'll pay buckets. Yeah. You will love Mark Glatt after that one. I didn't use the 8. I think I would like the 8 better if the if the 8 was drawn more inside. But also a big reason I didn't use the 8, who's the 7-2 third choice, because I used the 3 Tistastic, who's the 5-2 second choice. This horse is undefeated in 2 starts on turf. They got Derby fever with him. He ran against some good horses. He was second to Sovereignty in the Street Sense Stakes. He was won Louisiana Derby, which I was so on him in the Rebel because of his bad trip in the Southwest. And I was like, yeah, Jose Ortiz on him. I didn't see an excuse for the Rebel. He went to Louisiana Derby and smoked him. Forget the Kentucky Derby. You say this a lot, Mike. It's the one data point you can always scratch off on a horse that means nothing.
Plus, he had Rosario on.
Also had Rosario. Oh, wait, we still got Rosario on. Damn it. Can't use that argument. That's okay. I'll still use Tistastic because of the fact that he was undefeated in 2 starts on turf. And if you look at his breeding, very well meant for the turf. Has got deeper into the family breeding. There's a lot of turf angles to play. So I'll go with Tistastic here as the second choice. You use the 8. Clearly, you're not using the 3 because of the 5-2 price.
Yeah, I don't love the 5-2 price. The horse won twice at turf, both the Kentucky Downs, which we know is kind of a funky turf course, but at least you have some turf form in the background. This horse shouldn't be the favorite. It's really that simple to me.
Yes,
it just shouldn't be the favorite, and I'm not going to use a favorite that I would probably pick in. If I got 5-1 on every horse, Tistastic's probably the 3rd horse I'm taking. And if that horse is the favorite, when I'm saying at the exact same odds in the race for everybody, it's the 3rd horse I'm taking. I'm never going to use that horse in a pick X ticket, especially since I do think this horse takes money. I don't see how this horse doesn't get bet. Maybe he beats me. We'll see. I'm willing to let Tistastic beat me in this spot. So I'm going to leave the 3 off here. I am going to include the 7. Oh man,
Soleil Volant.
Soleil Volant. There you go. It's French. Should be French. It sounds French.
Yeah.
This horse ran second to Reagan's Wit last time and improved nicely doing so. That was second off the layoff, second out as a 3-year-old going a mile on the turf course. Didn't get I can't say it got a bad trip, but also kind of got a little wide on the second turn. And if 12-1, when my top pick is 3-1 and I almost singled it and this horse ran 2 lengths behind it, I'm going to take a shot with a 7 here at Soleil Volant. Don't mind picking up IRAD, although it's Pratt off, so it's not like it's a big difference between the 2. But I do think this is one of those horses for motion that kind of getting ignored a little bit here. Probably should get a little bit more respect than 12-1 on the line. We'll see if this horse ends up running also cross-centered at Monmouth as well.
This got me, Chris. It's not French. It's just made up. I hate this horse solely for the reason, you remember back in 2019, 2020, Patrick Biancone had that horse Soleil Volante.
I do remember that horse, yes.
And now there's Soleil Volant, and the spelling's very similar. Listen, it's motion, it's IRAD. I'm not going to talk you off the horse. Hasn't had that big breakthrough performance yet on the turf. I think this is one that maybe at Saratoga, that could sneak out a big victory there. Not necessarily here, but you make good points for it. I'm not going to.
Can we make a case that is volant, violence in French? Violence.
Soleil volant. That's how we have to say it now.
Soleil volant.
You know what? If he wins, that's what we'll do from now on. Soleil volant. Last one for me, the other price horse I went to. Don't worry, Chris. You're not going to be the only one using the 5. I've got Minaret Station on here as well. Debuted going 2 turns at Ellis Park. That's an instant sign from a good barn that they think this horse needs a route of ground. Didn't do any running early. Ends up finishing 3rd. Good effort for the debut. Comes back, wins by a neck against Maine Specialty Company at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. Goes to the Grade 2 Bourbon at Keeneland and beats the piss out of them at a length and a half at 38-1. The 2nd place runner comes back and wins. The 3rd place runner comes back and wins. The 6th place runner, the 7th place runner, they all came back to win out of that. Minaret Station went to the sidelines for a while because he ended up missing the Breeders' Cup from that spot. They come back here when he's N2X eligible. Very, very high on Minaret Station are the connections. Talked about earlier with the other William Walden trainee. I love his horses. He's a very smart horseman. He puts them in the right spot. So I'm going to put him on here at a 15-1 morning line. I'm
scared of this one. If the 7's out, the 5's in for me. So keep an eye. If the 7 does decide to go at Monmouth, the 5 is the one that I want to use. This is the one that I went back and forth on. I almost played a $1 ticket and went 5 deep in this race, using the 5, and I chose a $1.50 ticket and only went 4 deep. So again, I'm playing a $1.50 ticket. If you want to cut down my ticket cost to 50 cents and then use a couple others along the way, the 5 would definitely be one of the ones I would use. I also realized when I was handicapping this, I just have a built-in bias against OXO Racing. Anytime it's a stakes race, and it's now they didn't buy this horse, so it should not be a bias for me, but they overspend like mofos, and they're never good. They're never good horses when they buy them. This is a homebred. Maybe it'll work out differently. But it's funny. I'm riding the Glatt train. You're on the Walden train. If either of those have a big day, we're probably going to be pretty happy here.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thank you so much for this. It was good to be back. And as always, we'll go through our picks one last time. I'll start things off. Take a look down below if you're watching us. If you're audio listeners, we'll read them out for you. I'm going to start off this pick 5 going 2-3-6 with 3-8 with 2-5-6-7 with 1-4 with 1-3-4-5. That's $96 for me, Mr. Somich.
I'm going to spend $72, but I'm going to be pressing a little bit here. Give me a $1.50 ticket. I'm going to go 2-5 with 1. With 3-7-8, with 1-2, with 1-4-7-8. If you're adding someone, I like the addition of possibly the 6th and the 10th, or the 5 in the 12th. If you want to squish the ticket cost down to 50 cents or $1.
That's how it is. All right. It's been very good being back with everybody. Appreciate everybody back in the chat. I'm wearing the 45. I actually got kind of Bulls colors on here. This is what I put on this morning. I came back from dropping Colson off at daycare, and I was like, I don't have the energy to change.
Should we get like the new theme song and do it like the old Bulls one? And now the starting lineup for your Magic Mike Show.
Remember the promo I did for us after we won the fantasy league, and it had the guy doing the intro for us. My friend Ken Knapsack. I should reach out to him and ask him to do something like that. We'll get the dun dun dun.
Where did you go to college?
Dun 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 in the background.
Where'd you go to college?
Grand Valley State University.
Ooh, and now your host, standing 6'2".
6'4".
Well, okay, whatever. People would find out we're both tall. That would be fun. Like they'd be like, "Holy
listen, I've been told that 2 inches matters a lot." Okay, whatever.
Hey, what can you do?
And the man in the middle, 7'2", running next to Luke.
That's great. That's great. Then the Space Jam version of it, loved it. Loved every minute of it when I was a kid.
Oh, Space Jam. Still a great
original
movie.
OG.
Yeah. I watched the LeBron James one. I watched it during COVID when it came out, like a lot of us, and I was like, what have they done? What did they do to my precious baby? What did they do to this thing?
Honestly, that's the biggest argument. If you're doing the GOAT argument, LeBron versus MJ, Space Jam should be the first on the list. That's number one. Like,
I'm gonna steal that now. That's good. Yeah. I like that.
If you are making a GOAT argument and Space Jam is not on your list, you're incorrectly making the argument.
You want to hear something sad? Now that we're done the show, we can just bullshit for a minute.
Yeah.
So tonight's the NHL first night of the NHL draft.
Yes,
being
it is
held in Los Angeles. If I'd been able if I didn't have a 2-month-old and a 4-year-old and a wife that had to put them both down together at the same time last night by herself while I was at work, I wouldn't have to do it again tonight. FanDuel had offered me 2 tickets to go attend it, which I'm like, it's, you know, the draft, nothing crazy happens. I don't follow it, but I needed to, I spent a lot of poker chips last night and I need to start earning them back up before I cash them in again. If you catch my drift.
I mean,
but I was going to get 2 tickets and I was like, Mike, you do anything Friday night? You want to go to the NHL draft at Staples Center?
You passed on the Tis the Magician saddlecloth. So you technically...
No, that got outside my budget. I'm not spending that kind of money for a race he got last in or something.
But you now have extra money in your pocket because you didn't spend it. So you use that to get a babysitter and then you go to the draft. Be like, honey, I didn't frivolously spend $200 on a saddlecloth, so now we can get a babysitter.
She goes, yeah, the immediate response was, "You're going to spend $200 on a saddlecloth?"
But I didn't.
I think
so
it's like almost $400 now. That's way too much money for that.
You saved $200 from not buying a saddlecloth. Therefore, you got $200 free in your pocket. That's how you frame this. You didn't. Not that I was going to spend it. So you saved $200.
It's all in how you frame it. I didn't know Dan Aykroyd was in this film, says Daffy Duck. Yeah, you know what? As a kid, I had zero idea what it took me. Like almost a decade to catch that reference.
It was R. Kelly. Man, that didn't age well. I believe I can fly.
Just like his victims.
Yeah.
Don't age well. All right. With
boy.
that joke out of the way, we're going to get out of here. We will be back next Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And again, thank you to everybody. It's good to be back. Thank you, Mike, for moving. And thank you to Aaron for holding down the fort while I was gone. With that said, until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
We'll see you then.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com. The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.